than real life.
Another one of life's little problems.
Before I got cable, it was easy to figure out what was on. Let's face it, there wasn't that much. But with cable, there are so many programs I want to watch, I can't keep track. And then by the time I finally figure it out, I've missed something really great. Like
The simple solution.
I called my cable company and asked about a cable guide. Now I've got schedules for all the channels, plus great articles and interviews and all kinds of...
Make it easy on yourself with a cable guide. Call today.
Today's game, the Berkley Bears and the Southfield Lathrup Chargers, is brought to you in part by Observer and Eccentric Newspapers. We cover our suburbs like the dailies cover the cities because we live where you live. And we're living in the press box at Southfield Lathrup High School. Jim Shaffron and Gary May and Barry Smades. And what has happened in the first half? Well, we saw a very competitive first half. Both teams moving the football, as you can tell by the numbers, Gary.
Actually, yeah, the game is a lot closer than it could be a 0-0 game. As a matter of fact, I think we talked early on at how big and dominating the Southfield Lathrup Chargers can be. I'm really impressed with the fact that Berkley is out-executing the bigger players across the line from them, and that's why they're staying in the game. I think sometimes young teams like the Berkley Bears right now, they kind of show up on the field, they see a team that's a lot bigger than they are, and they say, okay, rather than get nervous and panic about the fact that these guys across the line from us are huge, we're going to remember what our coach taught us, and we're going to execute the plays the way we've been taught, and what we'll do is we will win that battle, and that's what's keeping Berkley in the game right now.
And the one turnover really was what could have made this a tie football game at 7-7 rather than a 0-0 tie. And it was an interception by Richard Harrison down deep. And again, maybe an inexperience, maybe just a good defensive play and good pressure by the defensive line of Lathrup.
He's a junior quarterback. He's only 5'8". It's his first chance to take a varsity team into the end zone. He got a little nervous. I think you'll see him become a more seasoned player as soon as the second half of this game. It just comes with time, though, and hopefully by next year he'll grow up to be about 6'4" or 5", and then the college scouts will want to talk to him.
Well, the pom-pom girls performing, and the band with another solid halftime performance as well. Berkley will open up their SMA conference season next week against the Troy Colts. And, we'll talk a little bit about the SMA, and you're very familiar with it. Jeff Keller was here, and I am sure that he was breathing a sigh of relief because they did not, they just escaped yesterday.
He came within a penalty flag of losing the game last night, and he had a tough one. He won 12-7. And I think what you'll see is the SMA as a whole, the parity is set into that league. Years ago, there was a struggle in the league between two teams, and everybody else just played around for 9 weeks of the season while Kimball went to the finals, and then of course Troy has stepped in. I think what you're seeing nowadays, though, is there's a little more appeal. All of the players and coaches, a lot of new coaches, a lot of new teams. I understand Birmingham Seaholm this year is running their own version of the run and shoot.
Yeah, Doug Frazier's got a solid team. In fact, that's the number 1 and 2 as they picked them in both of the daily newspapers. And while they were covering the city, the suburbs were covered basically the same way, with Troy followed by Seaholm and then Southfield. Southfield's always been an enigma because of the fact, not even an enigma, but the league itself, the SMA, has been so weak over the years. Not necessarily terribly weak, but the problem is that you didn't get a lot of playoff bonus points by some of the games that you won. And if you lose to one of the better teams, Southfield loses to Seaholm or Troy one year, you're out of the playoffs. Now with this 8-tiered system with the AA and A and all of that, with 8 classes or 8 classes instead of 4, it's going to help teams like Southfield who can at least afford to lose to a decent team and then get everybody else.
Absolutely, and I think one of the other reasons, one of possibly the subliminal reasons for the change to go to the 8-tiered system, believe it or not, is an opportunity incentive for the student athlete. A lot of times, a lot of kids that started to play other sports and they weren't playing football and they were going different ways because there really wasn't an incentive to play through the season. What do you get at the end of the year? Nothing. Now all of a sudden it's opened it up. Now that there's 8 tiers and more teams have the opportunity to make it to the playoffs, more student athletes come out and play.
And let's talk about the Metro Suburban Association, and those folks have almost conceded the league to Troy Athens. And you know, John Walker always has a good team out there. They're always competitive, as Frank Plakas likes to say. They don't regroup, they reload. And there are always competitive programs out in Troy. And wouldn't it be interesting? And I don't know how far back we have to go, and maybe not very far, but for the time when both Troy and Troy Athens won their respective leagues, and that is one of the epitome of rivalry games at the end of the season, and our friends over at United always look forward to covering that game. And I know you probably, being out in that area too, enjoy watching it.
I've been in a few, and John Walker and I are old friends. We coached together for years. He does reload, and that's basically what he does. He draws from a great pool of resources and just keeps building winning teams. He's also a great coach and has a great attitude about the game. And I think that's another plus factor for getting students to become student athletes and get out and participate. It's a good, good understanding of their coaches, camaraderie, if you will, the big brother kind of feel. I think that's what Pat Fox is proving over at Berkley right now.
The players are doing a little bit more preseason, halftime, second half exercises. You usually don't see a whole lot of that. They come out, a couple of guys may stretch or whatever, but I think on a day like today, you want to be as prepared as possible.
Well, you talked about it earlier when you mentioned the problems that come along with the hot weather, the cramping, and so on and so forth. I happened to follow the Berkley Bears into the school at halftime, and they were in an air-conditioned area of the school, which is not real good. It helps to tighten that body up and cool it down. So one of the reasons for the workout is to bring his body temperature back up to the game level it was for the first half. You sure don't want to have any injuries from sitting in some air-conditioned room for a few minutes. That's not going to help anybody.
You know, and they are working on the left ankle of Jeff Wasser. And Jeff, a very, very important member of this football team. Nose tackle on defense, and offensively he's playing the left guard spot. One of the other things I was going to ask you about, and it slipped my mind, the depth situation. Lathrup is suffering a little from a depth situation. The numbers that Pat Fox has to deal with are a lot better than things that he inherited. When he inherited this program at Berkley, he had 68 players within their, three teams, the freshman, the JV, and the varsity. Now he's up to 92 players, and that really has to speak well for just basically rallying around the new coach and talking a little bit to him about it. He's thrilled to death that he's gotten the numbers to work with.
Absolutely. Again, it's that feeling. He's a young man, young guy. He's become their friend. At first, he might not have been well received because he was too young, and sometimes that's not looked on properly or it's perceived incorrectly. But Pat's come in and he's impressed these kids with his dedication to the game and his dedication to Berkley and the system. And he's basically made it clear, I'm going to give 110%, so anybody that wants to join me, come on out. And now he's up to 45 strong on the varsity and upwards of 95 in his program, and it'll continue to grow. Well, of course, it helps to have baby boomers. That always helps.
Yeah, I know he's been knocking on the door in Berkley and Huntington Woods and Oak Park, and that's all the cities that make up the Berkley School District, and saying, excuse me, but I'm Pat Fox, I'm the coach of Berkley, and I'd like to have your son, and the kid's 5 years old, but he's recruiting. He wants to get the kids out there.
Absolutely.
I'm just teasing.
He's talked
Pat.
to my son.
Has he?
My son's 5 years old. He's already talked to him. So he's out recruiting all the time. Of course, I'll have to move out of Royal Oak.
Yeah, Mary Bryant, her nephew is 2 years old, and Pat has already talked to him. So I think it's important to start him young, and, that's the way it should be. Let's quickly tell you, because it's as quickly as it happened, the only scoring of the first half was a 4-play, 62-yard drive toward the end of the first quarter. 2 minutes to go in the quarter as a little swing pass from Tiki Ghosh into the hands of Myron Falls. 47 yards. The Andy Abro extra point made it 7-0, and Andy Abro will kick it off, and we are underway second half, and he gets a good high kick away, and Ken Carson will grab it back on the 7. Carson to the outside, and he was slowed down. Thought Andrew Dawson was going to come over and get him, but he was brought down by James Jenkins after an 11-yard pickup, and so it'll be first down and 10 at about the 18-yard line for Trevor Miles and the Berkley Bears.
Well, Ken Carson had a lane there, and he missed it. He actually ran outside the lane that his blockers established for him, where he could have picked up another 10 or 15 yards.
So it will be first down and 10 from there. We will see how they're going to set up. They'll have wings on either side, and we will watch number 28, Eric Weiss, go out to the left-hand side. Ashcroft is the lone setback, but they have Burks and Carson. And up the middle goes at Ashcroft, and Ashcroft is brought down by, they got Cheatham in there right in the middle of that line. And so, as you mentioned, Gary, they're going to try and keep them from going up the middle.
Well, Southfield's made an adjustment in their defense. They've offset the defensive line, and what they've done is they've actually gapped themselves. What that means is that they're taking away the gaps and giving up the possibility of one-on-one blocking. In other words, if a blocker blocks the wrong way, somebody's going to be open across that line.
1 yarder.
Tackle.
Second out, 9, about the 19-yard line. To the right side goes Jeff Burks, and he's wrapped up by Charles Hewley and brought down after about a 1-yard gain.
Once again, the defensive stunt. They're in the gaps, and that's changing the look, and Berkley hasn't figured it out yet.
So it'll be third down and 7 yards to go after a 2-yard pickup. I think Southfield's strength also is their speed on the outside, so if you can force them to go outside, force them to the strength of your defense, they will have a lot more success. So I don't know if you had mentioned that or not, but that's...
No, but I thought about it a lot.
Okay, well, that's just as good for this broadcast. Ashcroft, the lone setback. And this time, Miles is going to throw, and he fires, and it's Abro to intercept it at the 31-yard line. Andy Abro comes up with it as the Lathrup Chargers come up with their second turnover of the game, and it'll be first down and 10 for the Chargers at the Berkley 31.
Watch how tough it is to be 5'8" and throw a pass in the big leagues. Again, he just kind of threw it up for anybody. It's a little tough.
Abro plays the match game with Richard Harrison. He had the first one, and so the Chargers have had excellent field position for the most part in this football game. Probably their worst field position was after Harrison's interception toward the end of the first half. Norwood in motion right. They pitch it back to Johnny Hackle. Hackle looking for a downfield block, but he created the yardage all by himself. Rob Rose got a hand in there and tripped him, but Hackle got more after he was tripped than before Rose got an arm on him.
This is just a quick pitch, or the Southfield Lathrup version of a sweep to the right. It's led by 2 blockers. Both guards have pulled and gone outside. Unfortunately, big number 77, Andy Grossman, forgot to block the guy coming from the inside, and that's why we lost that potential touchdown there.
8 yards on it. Second down, 2 yards to go. Marvin Falls motion right, but they're going to go this way with Willie Norwood, and Norwood is being chased, and he's got the first down. John Kay was over there, number 7, bringing him down. Actually, Ryan Cascade, 36, Gary, had a shot at him, and he just ran right past him.
Yeah, well, you know, Willie Norwood's a big boy, and I think what you're seeing right now is that Southfield Lathrup is quickly trying to establish the outside running game and stretch that defense. You could be seeing some quick hitter off tackle or up the middle here pretty quick. From
the 17-yard line, backs are split. Now Falls will go motion right to left. They'll pitch it back. And Johnny Hackle works the right side, and Johnny Hackle gets very close to another first down. Ken Carson was there, along with number 67, Adam Perry.
Once again, Lathrup's version of the sweep. It's just a quick pitch to the right, and what they're trying to do is stretch the defense. They're spreading them out, trying to widen out the gaps of the defensive linemen and linebackers. And then any second now, I see we're down to the 9-yard line. You watch some quick hitter come up the middle here, and it could be 6 quick points.
Give them 8, second down. 2 yards to go. Deep in Berkley territory. Hackle will now come in motion and go to the left-hand side. And they'll give it to the man who remained, and that is Willie Norwood, and he gets very close to the first down. Among the tacklers, Charlie McPhail, number 58 for Berkley. Also in there was Ryan Cascade, number 36.
We talked about execution. Berkley's defense showed perfect execution on that play by picking up the line shift and the line blocking assignments to the Southfield Lathrup and slid right down the line and picked up that off-tackle play.
Needs one more, though. It is third down. Ball is at the 7-yard line. Officially, we call it the 8. Falls joins the backfield, takes the pitch, goes to the outside. Marvin Falls, touchdown. Oh, what an offensive weapon he is going to be in both the wide receiver spots and in the backfield. Marvin Falls, touchdown.
We said it at the top of the broadcast, Jim. Look out for number 1, Marvin Falls. I think Darrell Harper is going to be real happy to have this young man around all season. As you can see, he can line up anywhere and score from anywhere.
Abro will kick out of the Tiki Gauche hold, hopefully with a little bit more oomph than his last one, although it managed to go over.